being. And we're live. It's the AV community meeting. It's a Friday. We have Sam and Will and Michael and Federico. And so, as we discussed last week, there has been some talk of agendarizing the meeting, and we have a selection of items to which I think I'm just about to add the oh, go on, brain. I'm just about to add the newsletter, which, I mean, particularly since Robert was like, I didn't know there was a newsletter. I didn't know you had a newsletter. And so that's good to add. Let me get my screen share on. Come on, screen share. You know you want to. Yes, you do. Here we go. Right. So this was the agenda as discussed in the AV Community Talk channel. So I guess we'll take the items that Joao had popped up there, and we'll just add the newsletter since we were talking about it. We do have a newsletter. We use Elastic Mail to send it out. Here is the newsletter. Here is the part of the October newsletter, or hopefully October newsletter, that Michael has just written about the new. How would you pronounce it, Michael?
Rundfunk mitbestimmen.
Rundfunk mitbestimmen.
Yes.
Mm.
Means have your say about broadcasting or something roughly like that. It means mitbestimmen means to have a say.
Right. Ah.
And Rundfunk is their word for to broadcast.
So maybe, okay, so that makes me think of, I wonder if the project title should be, because they were doing a survey, it's like, you know, if it's have your say in broadcasting.
It's roughly like that. That's what it means.
Right, right.
Have your say in broadcasting.
Okay. I don't know if Robert was, I mean, not that these things matter too much. I think that he was actively looking for, you know, a non-German
language. Oh, because people don't understand German.
Annoyingly so, yes. All these non-German speakers. Oh, that sounded like an echo from Will there. Not sure. I'm just going to suggest that. So Will, I think I am getting a bit of an echo from you there.
Oh, okay.
You can mute, but also I think Google Chrome has this like echo suppression thing. Sometimes it fails. If you don't have to reboot the browser, but if you just reload the page once, then it often fixes it. Gosh. Okay. So Michael, I've got that up there partly so you can potentially identify the typo that you thought you had.
Yeah, so on the third line it says it brings to aim the voices. It should say it aims to bring the voices of German taxpayers to the choices made in public broadcast funding, I would say, because it's broadcasting funding sounds weird.
All right.
And
yeah, I'll quickly say that. And anyway, there'll be further reviews. So there we go. All right. And people can sign up for the newsletter either just by being a member on the site, or we also have a non-profits sign up. We have our non-profits page, and you can sign up for the newsletter at here. There we go. Okay. Well, let's.
Sam, real quick. Did you say that so I can?
I did save it. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So we've got some items that Federico added to the agenda. I guess if he's did anybody have anything else they would like to add to the agenda before we dive into things? I'll take that as a no. So yeah, Federico, you wanted to discuss the Mentor face-to-face AdWord promotion idea?
Well, yeah, I mean, you brought it up in the marketing meeting. Yeah, I just thought you might talk about it a little bit. I mean,
yeah.
Is everyone aware of what that is?
Well, Michael was in that meeting.
I'm
Will
aware, no.
For your benefit, so we have. I think you probably know that there are these premium levels in Agile Ventures, which I'll go over here. Yeah, help pay for our administration costs and everything else. And we do actually have it's something of the order of like 50 people, 50 maybe 60 people now actually signed up and then orders of magnitude. Yeah, we maybe have like about 12 people at the mob level and 6 at the face-to-face level. But so premium folks get priority support and other bundles of fun stuff like access to the RubyMine IDE and so on, other deals that we've made with other people who want to support open source and charities. We have these mob sessions, which are now quite well attended, running regularly in Elixir, RSpec, and React. And the face-to-face is like mentors will do, chunks of hour pairing with folks. And something we've been doing over the last, I guess, is it 2 or 3 months now, is we've been offering, and this was Federico's idea, was that if people follow Agile Ventures on Twitter or like us on Facebook, then they could get a free trial pairing session, just as not pairing, mobbing session, to try that out. And that's been quite successful, I think, in getting a few people interested. Oh, hey, Joao is here. Hey, Joao, how are you doing?
Hello.
Good to have you with us. We've sorted out the agenda from the AV community talk. I just moved your items to the back, knowing that you'd probably be a little bit. We're just going into Federico's ones here. I was just giving an overview of this one, which is the way in which we're promoting some of the higher paid premium plans at the moment. And so, yeah, we've had, what would you say, Federico? We've had maybe 10 people come and try mobs over the last couple of months, would you say?
I think it's closer to 15, no?
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think we've had 1 or 2 sign up. So it hasn't been extraordinarily successful in terms of, getting more revenue in for Agile Ventures, but it's certainly been, nice to do that. And it's also having the side effect of, people are then following us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, and that looks good. And it means that we keep an open dialogue with those people. So then the other week I was thinking, well, if we're doing that for premium mob, we want to do it for premium face-to-face. I've now done 3 or 4 pairing sessions with people. All been great fun, free ones. And that's, again, that hasn't led to any signups yet, but I think it's a good thing to be doing. And the idea that I presented in the marketing meeting this week was we do have a $10,000 budget per month from Google AdWords. And so part of the reason why the site is slow and why we have so many members recently is because we've got $10,000 worth of Google ads going out there, which is bringing, compared to baseline, an additional 10,000 people per month to the Agile Ventures site. But so while we're getting quite good rates of sign up for the free tier, like lots of those people who are coming are signing up. We've now got, let's go and see. I mean, we've got there, like, we're up to close to 6,000. I think we're getting an extra 250, 300, maybe 400 free tier users every month. And then we get like another, like 10% of those seem to make it into Slack. And so far, not many of them signing up for anything more. And we're not seeing, there are new people coming through the site and getting involved in projects, but not, nothing like the numbers there. And my suggestion was, shall we take some of the AdWords budget and explicitly promote through Google the sort of free trial things that we do? So rather than promoting this is open source, level up your coding for work with charities, is that we would explicitly promote the mob and face-to-face offers on Google AdWords, and that seemed to go down quite well in the marketing meeting. And Federico, yeah, you are keen for me to share that here today.
Yeah, so I wanted to get more feedback potentially from the other attendees here. What do they think of the idea? I mean, I think it's a pretty good idea. Throwing some of our money at it. Well, donated AdWords. So I wonder if like JP or Will, you have any opinions?
So yeah, I think it's good to experiment, especially if we have this budget. We should definitely try different things to see if we can get different results, and I think it's a good way to go. If we try to advertise what else, something else that we do, I think that's nice. So go for it.
Good show. Will, did it make sense? Maybe the first time you've heard about any of these things?
Yeah, sorry, I don't really have an opinion.
No worries. Good show. The only thing I had some thoughts about the mechanics of it, but I guess that this is not the context to go into it. So yeah, Federico, shall we move on to your next agenda item?
So I wonder if you can pull this up at all, or actually it would be me just asking you, has there been any feedback at all from the code of conduct? I know it's more prominent in the getting started page, right?
Yeah, so the feedback I would say is no. As some people will know, we're recommending all our projects to adopt the contributor covenant, which is now kind of an easy default thing to add via GitHub, and I believe all the projects pretty much have that in place. We've adopted, and we sort of ratified before, like a community code of conduct, which is more like broad. It's not specifically about people making contributions to an individual project. It's more about for groups that hold events, and we hold events like these ones. Again, we followed the kind of this is another thing from GitHub that you can easily add to a project or an organization, we've got that up on the getting started page. We've also got it we've got the little greeting bots that greet people in the Slack environment. Mention to people to check out our community code of conduct. I've heard no apart from people saying you could say our inner circle regulars saying, oh yes, thanks for getting that up. There's been nothing on it, I would say, in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know if anybody else has heard anything.
I've heard the hoof prints of people running to join us. No, I mean, we didn't think that anything would necessarily happen that would change everything, right? No,
I don't think we were expecting massive changes, and I think there was one minor incident of harassment where we need to eject a Slack community member because of inappropriate comments in direct messages. But the dialogue and the tone of the dialogue seems very positive and polite in the group channels, and I haven't heard of any more issues of issues in direct messages in the Slack. And I think it's good to have it in place to refer people to when things do go a bit out of whack, as eventually there's thousands of people coming through. These things are likely to happen. So we've got it in place. It doesn't seem to be causing any trouble. Hopefully, it makes us seem more welcoming. I think relates to something I was listening to a podcast this morning. I think there's a movement generally towards that all organizations should be try and be as diverse as possible and try and be as inclusive as possible. I would love Agile Ventures to be as inclusive as possible. I get the sense that we're still a group of white guys kind of hanging around. Would be great to get participation from more sometimes less well represented groups. I guess we just try and be as welcoming as possible. We
do have black guys, and we do have Asian guys, and we do have white women and black women.
Yes, but when I say group of white guys, I mean the 5 of us here.
Oh.
So no, I think it's it's absolutely extraordinary and wonderful that we've got the folks from so many different countries represented, and I think we do have lots of different genders and so on. I guess there's, as we continue to evolve this meeting, we want to be making sure that we're, the point in the podcast I was listening to today was all about, if you do, if the people who are perceived to be organizing a group don't reflect the diversity of the underlying group, then that's...
Well, I could say something, but that's...
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is we'll keep on inviting mentors in from,
right.
diverse backgrounds to try and get them involved.
I mean, you don't want us to look like the U.S. Senate, basically.
Hopefully not. I mean, good God. No. Yeah. So...
I just have...
go on, Will.
Go ahead, Will.
One comment about having the contribute that paragraph at the top where it was on the webpage about we're recommending it gives you the impression that there's been trouble, and this is a response to trouble that we've had. I mean, and okay, it sounds like there has been some trouble, but it's whether that needs to be upfront. I mean, it's important. I guess it's important to have a code of conduct to refer to, but I don't know if it's the first thing you need to say.
Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe that should be like when someone wants to start up. Is there like a list on there about starting a project? Like if you want to start a project?
There is. So
it should be under that step.
Yeah. So absolutely. Yeah. Maybe it's the wrong place. And I originally the getting started was a single long thing with the steps. I've now broken them into sort of separate steps, which and they have different things in them. I think there's a lot of room for changing the order and finding the right place for these things. So
I think like Will's saying, putting that in this part where someone's creating the project would make it so it's not the very first thing that signed up sees.
Somewhere else. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I wonder if I could ask a follow-up question there is, so should it maybe be that we move this sentence to the place where people are creating the projects, but we still mention the community code of conduct here?
No, I think that's suggesting that you need to read this because you're going to cause trouble before you join something. I don't know. I'm not sure what the solution is.
No. Well, I think it's and we don't necessarily need to have to find it now. I think it's a great point, and we can experiment with some different positioning and see what people think. Any other thoughts on this issue?
Not from me, but that was good feedback from Will. So.
Yeah. All right. So the next agenda item was one from myself. So I talked about this at some length in the Website 1 meeting earlier today. We do have site performance issues. We're just running out of memory. We've got a strategy for coping with them, which will take some time to implement. We do also have a temporary fix, which we're just trying out. And I just ran some experiments which suggest that we may, see some improvement. So I apologize for lack of performance on the part of the site. Hopefully we'll have a sort of a bit of a partial fix in place very soon, and then we'll move towards a bigger, longer term fix. But I probably won't go into that in any more detail now unless people demand it.
No, I mean I was in the meeting, so
yeah.
But does anyone else want more detail about the possible fix and issues?
If I could just I was in that meeting too. What happened with the IceCube gem?
Yeah, so we upgraded the IceCube gem. The IceCube gem is for working out the recurrence of events and scheduling. And we noticed that the site kind of works out the scheduling on the fly for every time, even when you're just hitting the front page, and that's very expensive. We just upgraded that gem, and that does seem to lead to about a 20% improvement in the performance that I'm seeing on staging under load test. So we're going to try rolling that out to production and see how it goes.
Okay.
So it's kind of an immediate band-aid.
Yeah, and we'll see how what that actually translates to in. We are tracking the AppDex scores and the availability of the site, and I've got very detailed metrics on this. I'm doing reports for the trustees on this. That was part of the stuff that we have to do. So we'll see if that gives what kind of improvement that gives us. So unless we want to say anything more about that, let's move on to items from JP. You wanted to give us an update on the Met Plus project, JP?
Yeah, that's right. As part of the community I think like all the projects, when they have something to announce, they should at least pop up here and talk to the community and say, hello, our project is still live and this awesome thing is going to happen. And I think that's also part of the community itself. We're not just here to support ourselves, but we're also here to congratulate ourselves as a community because we're going to do the next step for a specific project and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think these meetings are also important. So this being said, I think we closed another chapter on our Met Plus story, and we are at this point finalizing the trial that we proposed to the Met Plus client.
Mm-hmm.
And my hopes are that by mid-November or beginning of December, depending like on arrangements and stuff from our side and from the client side, we can go finally to production of the project. And we already had some live users that were on the system, just apart from the companies that will create the jobs. And hopefully in November, we'll have people subscribing to Find Jobs, and we'll have people that create these job opportunities, and we'll have the people that help connect these two people together. So I think this is a very good milestone, and we hope to be able to get it up and running. Everything looks good for now. The client wants to check one or two things with some HR people that he's been talking to, and I think we'll be good. So I'd like to give a big thumbs up and to all the people that contributed to the project, and I hope we can make this go.
Yeah. Oh, round of applause for all of the work to, I think particularly Joao and Pat, who've been leading the project and working with so many different contributors. Yeah, fantastic.
So what about the cruncher? Has that been, is that going to continue to be improved over time?
At this point, like, I stopped development on the cruncher on purpose because the cruncher is working, but we have no clue what the people are going to use it for, or if it's accurate with the real data or not. So it's not like worth it to keep on digging there if you don't have any idea on how this should work and if people are happy with the results that it's giving or not. It's there. It gives us results. Sometimes good, sometimes not that good, depending on the data that we see them with. But yeah, we have it's there, and we are waiting for users to tell us if it's good or not.
That suggests that you might develop further once you start getting that real data.
Once it gets in production,
yeah. Once you get more data telling us that something is wrong with it or it needs to be improved, if they are missing these features here and there, we'll continue developing on the cruncher.
Sounds good.
Great stuff. Yeah, I guess on that note, we're talking also about hosting things and so on. So yeah, JP, I mean, I'm off next week, but I'll be kind of like occasionally responding to emails and so on. But if you need any like stuff related to Azure or what have you, just let me know.
So that's gone, Joe.
What? Sorry.
Oh, it sounded like you were going to say something.
I was going to say thank you to Sam, and yeah, definitely. Like we did some math on some options, and we presented to the client in January. I need to do that again to make sure that everything is still lining up. I don't think the prices changed a lot, and the proposal that we did to him at the time, and try to get it together this weekend.
So are we talking about hosting this as part of a support package from Agile Ventures? Is that the plan?
So the plan at this point, yes, will be the plan that we presented to the client in January, February, something like that. It was for we would have the responsibility for the hosting, and we'll provide a support to it as well. And that would be all in one package, and it would be up to us where where the application would live and how much work we wanted to have with it. Saying if you want to have it in Amazon with your own VMs, or if you want to have it in Heroku, for example. So yeah.
So just in terms of I'm just thinking in terms of Azure.
Mm-hmm.
We have a certain amount of free hosting, but it's also more of a maintenance and security potentially that we would have to do on our end, like significantly more than having on Heroku, right? Because Heroku kind of takes care of the operating system level security and everything.
Yeah, although we can use Doku.
But I don't think Doku solves that security problem.
Well, no, but at least it provides, virtual sandboxing between different things, and then you've got like Doku upgrade pathways, so you don't have to be going in and like doing apt-get update on the individual things. It's providing a framework to make it easier, and there's less overhead for it. I mean, it's still in principle more work than Heroku, and you're not paying Heroku, and Heroku's got their guarantees. Although if you read Heroku's guarantee documentation, I mean, they're just saying we'll do our best kind of thing. So, but yes, we'd have to look very carefully at the kind of service level agreements and costing and so forth.
Yeah, that's sorry. Go for it, Mike.
And then I was going to say, like, what kind of supposed guarantees are you offering to the client? Like, say something horrible happens and we lose data or something.
Indeed.
Exactly. That's exactly where. So at this point, we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about SLAs. We didn't talk about anything. We don't have like a proposal. So we kind of need to come up with some sort of proposal, and that's where I think we'll need maybe your help some, or someone that can guide us through a little bit on what should we propose and what kind of agreement we can do, because we cannot let's call it, as a team, we cannot tell the client that we'll have someone that will respond to something in 1 hour without having like the weight of the community behind us.
Yeah.
So this needs to be a little bit bigger than just my case.
Yeah, but we have a model for this in that we've done that for the NHS projects. Has involved us we have professional indemnity insurance for the charity. There are contracts and service level agreements there and so on. So it's not a stab in the dark. There's a model for doing this that we can put together a sensible package, I think.
Cool.
All right. So going on to the next agenda item, if that's all right with everybody. I think this is also Joao's item. You were saying any feedback from last week's meeting, Joao? Do you want to?
Yeah, like just a general question to understand if we saw some feedback or general feedback that we had from the last meeting, and the things like what was compiled with the notes of the meeting, if you had any feedback about it, or if it was just us talking about it, posting it in the chat, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm just looking if because I posted. Go on, Federico.
No, Sam, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying I posted the notes from last week. I think Federico took the action of doing some updates to the Getting Started page, which I think relates to, this process that you and I think we all are interested in, Joao, which is about trying to help get people activated into the community. We didn't have, I think, any other things beyond we took the action to try and get a bit more of an agenda going. We had that discussion in the meeting, sorry, in the AV community channel. That was the main action item. And so this week we're having a more agenda-focused meeting, or at least with a pre-prepared agenda. But yeah, I don't think is there anything else to mention in that context, anyone?
So it was a general question how to get people more involved to come to this meeting? Or...
Yeah, I think that was Joao's.
Yeah, so that's the big question, and I tried it on the mentors channel, and I just get the answers from Ashley. Nobody else said anything.
Well,
and
she provided feedback for all of us.
Oh yeah.
She provided enough for all of us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I'd like to see she provided enough for all of us. Yes, but I'd love to see other people see what they think. But the major question that I have at this point that with Ashley's answers I didn't get was, is this an important meeting? Are we really a community that want to not get together, but we want to evolve as a community, or are we fine being 20 projects that use the same website to schedule things? That's my core question at this point. And I'd love people to engage in this discussion. And if they don't, they are in their own way giving their answer. I don't know. I'd love to have some information.
Well, we're 4 white men, so apparently that's your answer.
I'm not sure that's correct, Michael. First of all, it's not factual. And second of all, how does that relate?
Oh, well, Sam was saying that we don't really represent the community. It's kind of the problem, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think it may be part of the issue. I mean, it's difficult to know what exactly is going on in other people's heads when they're not telling us what they think. We're grateful to Ashley for Ashley's feedback. I guess, Sigurd is saying that he wasn't able to make it today. He will watch the recording this evening. I can sense viscerally Joao's disappointment that more people in the Mentors channel didn't comment on how they think the meeting might be evolved. Ashley gave a very specific thing. I kind of specifically didn't comment because my voice is often too loud, and I think really for Agile Ventures to succeed and go forward, it requires not me saying do this. I think it's people like exactly what Joao is doing now, and Ashley was doing, is sort of putting proposals forward. And the thing that you're saying there, Joao, yeah, it would be lovely if we can move beyond just some people who are co-sharing a space to a place where there is more interactions between the different groups. I think is what you're hoping to, that people are invested not just in their own the project that they happen to be working on, but they're kind of invested in the broader Agile Ventures initiative. Is that accurate, Joao?
Yes, that's accurate. That's basically it. So for example, on this Met Plus project, this Met Plus project can live by itself, right? But this is part of the community, and I think all the community should know about it, should be part of it, should be happy when things are happy, should be concerned when things are concerned. Because if we are if our objective as a community is to help others learn by giving them an environment that it's, let's call it, similar to something that they would do in the future. That's also part of the future that they will have to handle. They will not be coding by themselves or with their team. In some cases they do, but there's usually like a company around them that has other people, and we as a community should help each other as well. Like, for example, when we start talking about things like SLAs for a project, or we need to start giving support and stuff like that, one team might not be able to provide that, but us as a community, we might be able to provide it. But for that, we need to be a community that talks, that has a path forward, and so on. And I think that's where it started with our nonprofit as well. We need to have some sort of path forward. Yes, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, that all sounds good to me. Federico or Michael, any further thoughts on that?
I noticed that since we've kind of, well, SHF doesn't kind of interact per se. Like the people that are very active there aren't part of they're like, a lot of them aren't part of anything else in Agile Ventures.
Mm-hmm.
Is my impression. And then I feel like since WikiEDU dashboard kind of got its own separate channel,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like segmented off into its own little space. Like it's no longer running in our channel. It's like no longer running in our Slack, but it's got the shared channel.
Mm-hmm.
And people kind of go in there and they just interact in there, like they're coming out of AV, but they're going in there, and it's kind of like then they just stay in there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of these certain projects. My question is, are they like happy? Are they like happy with what AV offers, and they kind of, that's why they're not showing up? And they're kind of like, oh, we're not here to, like, they're like, if they had something they wanted to complain about, maybe they would show up. Or is it kind of that they're not actually interested in the community at all? What do you think, Joe?
I don't know. Like, that's exactly what I wanted to understand is if we are, of course, not everybody is going to be invested in the community or something like that, but I was expecting more than 4 people or 5 people or 6 people would be invested on this, and to try to understand if this is something that interests them, or if they like to understand if they really don't care, don't want to have anything to do with this, and they are just here because they have like a project that they like, or if we are missing something, if there's something that we can do to pull more people together, the people that we have, not only the people that are new, but also the people that we have. Like, what will make those people come and want to be part of the community? So I don't know, like.
Federico?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of branding. I think we need to rebrand this.
Oh, yeah.
I think that the time. I think if we move it to a new day, it's like brand new season. This season on Tuesdays.
You mean so the AV community meeting, move it to a different time slot so it doesn't compete with stuff on NBC that's really interesting if people want to watch it this time?
Well, first of all, it's also on a Friday, which maybe that might be an issue too. I think there's a little bit of issue about the confusion of the time. That, I mean, it wasn't really anybody's fault, but there was a lot of scheduling mix-ups. If we change it to a new day and then promote it just a little bit. And yeah, I had some other thoughts, but I think overall, yeah, it's good that we try to get like collaboration and feedback and interaction between groups. I sort of think of it as a model, like kind of like in the private industry where you have like a CEO and you have projects in the real industry. And if we do some things to where this kind of like working groups or committees or something to where well, I guess it would be this right here, to where there's a representative from every, major project, sort of organizational behavior type of stuff. That might be an approach. And for the record, I almost responded to Drow's post, but when I saw it, I was like, well, no one's gonna read. It's bad enough. It's good enough that Ashley responded so thoroughly, but yeah. So
Yeah, interesting. The I think we may have lost Joao. I noticed his video has frozen. I don't know if you can still hear us.
Shaking my head on my screen.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay, cool. I think maybe just the video just froze for me, so that's no worries. Federico, I was just going to clarify something there. Like when you said Ashley responded for all of us, were you also saying that you kind of agreed with her thesis that if the meeting was more structured and the agenda was publicized in advance, that would make it more valuable for you and more likely for you to attend?
No, mainly it was just me making light of it and the fact that it was very comprehensive, very lengthy.
Okay, so you were more just thinking like, oh, right, I don't want to put too much into the channel to like overload everybody with too much discussion.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I think that if I might try and draw some threads together, the things that you mentioned, Michael, about the SHF project and the WikiEDU dashboard project, I think they've been kind of common issues for us throughout the existence of Agile Ventures. I think we had the same thing with the OSTRA project earlier on in our evolution, and I mean, there's this, if we think about the different types of events we have going on there, we have our we have the AV community, which is come and gone and been on different sides. I mean, there used to be one time just a weekly meeting, with still a scrum. We have the scrums, which are kind of like all project scrums, and then we also have the project meetings, and then also some projects have they have their own project scrums where it's like they're focused on a single project. What I will say is that recently there's people who've come into the community like Will and Brent who've really embraced working on multiple projects, and I think both of them, and also Sigu, we do have some people who are really crossing over multiple projects, and that's great to see. I was going to say, like, I think that it's clear for the OSTRA people, they kind of went against the grain, so to speak, in that we were very like, come and be in the All Scrum and hear about the many other projects. But I think, I certainly understand the groups like OSTRA and SHF who end up kind of not necessarily wanting to come into the all project scrums because they question, well, what's the value for them? I mean, there's like a potential value, but they're all people who are volunteers with limited time, and they're like, it's maybe all that they can manage is to get into a single project scrum like once or twice a week, and that's as much as they've got space for. Do you know what I mean, Michael?
Yeah. I understand that, yeah.
Yeah.
and I think it's a natural tendency. I mean, I think it's, you know, you can then, to Joao's point, you can say maybe that represents something on the part that they're not interested in the rest of the community, or maybe they just don't have capacity for the rest of the community. But, you know, I think it's going to be inevitable that it pulls in that direction some way. That said, I think, yeah, if there are things that we can do to make the kind of the general activities more exciting and interesting, so people want to come to more general community events and there can be cross-fertilization between the groups, I think that's you know, that's potentially hugely to our advantage. We've got a there's a suggestion there from Federico, which was different days for the meeting. I mean, this is for the AV community meeting. You know, I think there's also, we haven't really done what Ashley wants, which I think is that she was sort of saying not only an agenda, she wants the agenda to be something more than just a discussion in Slack, right? She wants a kind of, you know, agenda distributed in clearer form. But like, you know, and then she was also talking about stuff, you know, newsletter, email updates. The other thing I've been thinking of is, you know, should we like try and adjust this? You know, is doing lots of all project scrums counterproductive? Should we have fewer all project scrums and more project focused scrums? And perhaps make more time for community meetings or some other form of event? We will by law, within the next 8 months, we'll have to have an annual general meeting of our charity. And I was thinking that what we should do is invite, like one thing Joao said last week was talking about a hackathon. I don't know about hackathon, but I was going to think of trying to make it into a mini conference and have you know, every project, invite every project to present on their project and try and set up some sort of, you know, mixing activities and so on to help get people talking to each other. Does anybody else have any suggestions about how we can help improve bonding between the different community groups?
Like, I don't think the problem here is the amount of meetings and the all project scrums and so on. I don't think that's like the problem. I think like if you wanna, I think it's more. I think I'm having like an identity crisis about the community itself.
Sure.
Right. Because I think from my experience, maybe the problem that we are having in keeping people or getting people to sign up and so on is the fact that we as a community, maybe we're not a community.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's it. Like maybe we're just exactly what the website states, like launchpad for projects, and people come in, find a project that they like, and they just fly with it. And that's it. So basically, we're just like a repository more than a community, and that's fine. But is that what we as Agile Ventures want to be? That's where my my identity crisis comes in.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like Agile Ventures depends on the interest its members have in the projects. That's the substance of the community, and that's natural and that's fine. It's a good it's a good focal point for people who want to get involved with something open source.
I feel like there are people, I mean, right now, basically, community is kind of segmented into people who are focused on the community, and supporting the community. So people that are working on Website 1 or kind of the infrastructure projects, the async voter, those kind of projects, versus a project for an external client. And those two groups don't necessarily overlap that much.
Yeah, and he's saying that could be a bad thing because the infrastructure projects depend on ideas from the real projects.
Right.
And what those real projects need.
Yeah, and also we would like to, in theory, we would like to spread the knowledge to the community both ways, that maybe somebody in the client projects has some great experience with some technology or resource that the people in the infrastructure don't, or vice versa. Like there's not like a communication that spreads that knowledge through the community, rather the non-community.
Yeah.
So I'd love to keep the conversation going and more things coming in. I'm going to have to go very shortly, but that shouldn't prevent you guys from carrying on if you want to. I just wanted to take a moment to touch on Joao's point and sort of pull these last few points together. I think that, look, I think taking the long view, although I think Michael is correct that there's a degree of segmentation, one of the things that's important to me personally in Agile Ventures is that I feel that it's important that projects kind of be allowed to go their own way to an extent. I mean, I think there's certain lines that if they were crossed, like if we had a project coming in and the code was closed source and they were doing it for a private client and, they were getting paid, but they were using volunteer labor, then I think we would have serious conversations. But it reminds me of when Ostra came in and they wanted to do things differently by having their own separate project meetings, and they wanted to use Jira, which was slightly less open. And there was resistance to that. But I think we gained more from letting them go their own way within our kind of loose, coherent structure than we did from trying to put too much pressure on them to conform to the way we thought that they think we might have thought they should be doing things. So I think absolutely we want to work on like building bridges between the communities so that knowledge can flow in both directions. But I think we also want to leave, the groups. We're actually, I think, at this present time, we have more active projects than we've ever had in the past at any one given time.
That's
with
true.
RunFunk and the WikiEDU and the SHF and now Phoenix One, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And I think there's a kind of a rising tide that benefits all boats here. In that, as the range of projects increases and the number of active projects increases, when a new person comes into the new members and they're looking for something, it's more likely that they're going to find something that they stick to, because there's that range of different things. So I think, it doesn't, I'm not saying there isn't a problem. I'm not saying that we can't do more. For me, Joao, we're a very loose-knit community. And if we look at the Met Plus thing, what's nice to see, you've got somebody like Pat, who's been involved in Met Plus. He got involved in some of the more infrastructure stuff, and now he's gone off to SHF. And I think there is, although it might be maddeningly slow at times, like I'd love for all of the knowledge and so on that the SHF folks are bringing together, and Phoenix One are doing stuff on their own, and Will's working out new things in Y, and I'd love them all to be getting kind of visceral, immediate access and benefit from each other, I think that maybe like the power of the community and the strength of the community kind of allows them to kind of grow apart. But then I think what will, the individuals working in the different projects, because they're used to Agile Venture Slack, the Agile Venture site, which needs to get better, there's a kind of cross-fertilization. And I think we need to move towards, and I've lost my suggestion here, but like you say, mini conferences, we need to set up things where, for example, the SHF folks like feel, oh, here's a thing that we can come present our SHF stuff, and I'll make time to hear a bit more about what's going on in other projects. And do you know what I mean? Does that make sense, Raoul?
Yes, it does make sense. My only concern is that I think we should be exactly as we are, but I think we also need to focus a little bit on the community. Like, I think the community itself should allow projects to grow to their own place, because each project is a project and people are different and so on. But if we want to keep this community, we need somehow to keep the community, right? Like, we need to have like this arbor needs to be there in order for other projects to start blooming again. If new people come in and have new ideas and want to do different things. And
What needs to be there for that to happen?
There needs to be like something there, right?
Needs to be a core of people greeting new people, or what are you saying?
Like, I'm not saying a core of new people, of people greeting. I'm saying that there needs to be something there, right? There needs to be like a starting package, for example,
okay.
that someone needs to be responsible for taking care of. And when new people come in, yes, they need to be directed to somewhere, and so on. And we can be like all this tree and awesome everything,
Right.
but if we lose the root, that's the community itself. Yeah, it's like somebody needs to pay for the site to be up.
Yep.
And so on, right? That's the idea. We need to have people that are taking care of this community part as well.
Yes.
And yeah, that's like, my concern is that, are we the people? Are we that people? Are we enough?
Yeah. Oh, good point. And I mean, I think that my optimism comes partly from, we have brought in some revenue, and we are now making it practical for me to devote, a good portion of time to the system. I've got to slip off now, but I want to encourage you to. I'm going to leave it there. Do carry on chatting, guys, and I'll get these notes posted up later on. I'll catch up with you guys on Slack in a bit later on. I think it's a great discussion, and yeah, absolutely. There's lots of, how can we keep growing going forward, and what do we need to have in place? But yeah, I must rush to supper. I'll catch you a bit later, guys. Bye for now.
Bye.
So I have to go to work now. I'm 5 minutes late, so nice talking with you guys, and I'll see you around.
All right, everyone. So JP, you gave me a brilliant idea, so I'll just voice it in the Slack.
Okay, cool. I'll read this when I'm back. See you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Oh.